On a cold December day in France in 1386, two men are in an arena. They are about to fight to the death.
Each man is to fight on horseback and on foot, armed in the manner that pleases him with any weapon or device of attack and defense, except the weapons or devices of...
How do you make a showdown where you really feel something? One ingredient is that our combatants haven't fought, but we've seen them fight independently and seen their abilities. So we look forward to how they would fare in a fight with each other. We know they'll face off, we anticipate it for the entire movie. We know Luke will fight Vader, Rocky will fight Apollo, Neo will fight Smith, and De Niro and Pacino will have a final confrontation. Making a good final showdown is trickier than it sounds. There is a tension, a contradiction that must exist. We want the hero to triumph, but we must also believe that the good guy can be defeated. There has to be real danger. But Ridley Scott's The Last Duel achieves a masterful, nail-biting finale in a very different way. Chapter 1. Our hero is Jean de Carouge, henceforth John, who is a squire on a campaign and serves Count Pierre d'Alençon. We see him charge into battle and fight bravely, and even save his friend, fellow squire Jacques Legris, henceforth Jack. However, the battle is lost, and their lord Pierre recalls the men and abandons the campaign. John is the son of the captain of Fort Belem, and that is where he and his friend Jack return to. At this fort, the men-at-arms swear their allegiance to Count Pierre, and we learn that Pierre favors Jack and dislikes John.
Closer.
Sometime later, Jack is employed as a debt collector for Pierre, and has the awkward task of asking John, his friend, to pay what he owes their count. John is cash-strapped, and embarks on a campaign hoping to change his fortunes, despite protests from his friend Jack. After returning from this campaign, John meets Marguerite. He intends to marry her, and her dowry will be a very welcome injection of wealth for our poor protagonist. Marguerite's father promises John vast tracts of land. John and Marguerite are soon married, but John learns that the most prized gardens promised to him as part of the dowry were surrendered to Pierre, who in turn gave it to Jack as a gesture of appreciation for putting Pierre's books in order and collecting the money Pierre was owed.
It was meant to be part of Marguerite's dowry, and Pierre simply gave it to you.
This vexes John, and he petitions the king to have the prized gardens given back to him, a petition that is rejected. His father then passes away, and to his great disappointment, he realizes that he will not inherit his father's captaincy at Fort Belem. See, Count Pierre has been angered by John's appeal to the king, and in retaliation stripped John of the captaincy that he was to inherit. John confronts Pierre and Jack. What is interesting is that this confrontation is cut off. We do not get to see it, we only hear of it recounted by John to his wife. Whatever transpired, John and Marguerite are now barred from the court, essentially persona non grata among the high-born circles. A year passes until they get an invite to celebrate one of John's friends having a child. John and Marguerite attend the celebration. At the party, they meet Jack and John reconcile. And this is where John asks his wife to kiss Jack as a sign of good faith.
Marguerite, come. Give our old friend a kiss and show the good faith of the House Carouge.
This kiss will be important. After this, John leaves to go on another campaign. He and Marguerite have a heartfelt goodbye. The expedition proves mixed for John. The campaign is a failure and he loses many men, but he does receive a knighthood. Upon his return, he visits Paris to receive money that is owed. However, when he returns, he receives some very dark news. Marguerite tells him that while he was away, Jack had come over and violated her. He comforts her and regrets that he was not present to protect her. He promises her retribution, and this is where the final confrontation begins to take shape. Jon is now a man who has been denied his dowry that was promised to him, his captaincy that he was in line to inherit, and finally, his wife is violated by a man he once considered a friend. Jon asks the king permission to fight Jack in a duel to the death. God, Jon believes, will allow only the one who tells the truth to prevail.
I stand ready to prove my charge by my body against his, and to render him dead.
He throws down the gauntlet, and the duel is on. Chapter 2, Jack's Truth. You get to see events as Jack sees it. Jon's charge at Limoges is not heroic but rash.
Orders be damned!
They're baiting you, Jean. They want us to leave the bridge so they can take Limoges.
It is Jon who is saved by Jack. We understand why Pierre dislikes Jon.
He disobeyed me and let Limoges fall.
Despite this, Jack remains Jon's friend. But even from Jack's favorable point of view, he is shown to be a womanizer, a prolific fornicator, a ravisher of women.
I prepared for a life in the church. The requirements do not suit me.
It was Jack who forced Marguerite's father to give up the land that was promised to Jon, and Pierre didn't take away Jon's captainship in retaliation for his lawsuit. He simply gave the captaincy to Jack even before he knew about the suit, simply because Pierre dislikes Jon. The missing confrontation scene from Jon's story? We now get to see what actually happened. Jon makes an utter fool of himself, persuading no one, inarticulate, brimming with impotent rage. It is also revealed that Jack was once godfather to Jon's late son. Jack is determined to bury the hatchet and so meets Jon at the party of a mutual acquaintance. This is where Jack first sees Marguerite, and where she kisses him. Their kiss this time is ever so slightly more sensual, and a loud lingering silence passes between them. The camera pushes in hard into their locked lips and then lingers on Marguerite's face, all a blush and coy. There is a lengthy scene of Jack and Marguerite flirting near the dining table, discussing their shared interest in literature. In a scene missing from Jon's story, Jon is shown returned a knight from his failed campaign. Pierre unsurprisingly doesn't miss an opportunity to embarrass him.
We laid siege at Walk.
Louder, Sir Knight. They cannot hear you in the back.
But Jack tries to make overtures to Jon and say positive things about him to lessen his failure.
A tragic result, Jean, though I dare say no fault of your command.
But Jon takes his words the wrong way and explodes with indignation.
I return a knight. That is the second time you do not call me sir. I will not be patronized.
We then see what is only spoken about, the actual ravishment of Marguerite. Jack barges into Jon's home when Marguerite happened to be alone and professes his love to her. Marguerite asks him to leave and goes to her bedroom, and Jack follows her. Now, here's the thing. The way this scene is shot, there is a playful air to it. She removes her shoes, a sign of an invitation, before hurrying up the stairs. She does not run. The chase around the table is the exact same as one earlier in the film. When Jack grabs Marguerite, a giggle escapes her. Her protestations are half-hearted, feeble. Today we know that no means no, but remember, this was not the case in the 1300s. A woman would have to protest as a formality to signal that she was chaste, something that Jack mentions later.
Of course, she made the customary protest, but she is a lady. It was not against her will.
And in the next scene, Jack confesses to the sin of adultery, not of rape. And then we're back at the court, where Jon lays down the gauntlet and Jack accepts the challenge and the duel is on. Except there is one more story, that of Marguerite and her version of events. And here Jon's image as an aggrieved and well-meaning person is further eroded. Jon enters the marriage purely out of mercenary motives. He wants wealth and an heir. Jon and Marguerite's lovemaking is mechanical, devoid of feeling. Marguerite is left unsatisfied. The kiss between her and Jack is less certain, more ambiguous. Their flirtation over literature is notably absent. Marguerite tells the other ladies that despite finding Jack handsome, she cares that her husband does not trust him, and that's what matters to her. We get a sense that she's influencing her husband to repair relationships and clear a path to reclaiming his station. She's trying to tame his impetuous nature.
How a smile and a kind word go much further than a threat.
There is this scene that foreshadows the assault scene, where John's prized mare is mounted by a horse, and he beats the stallion away. This sight moves something in Marguerite. Did she wish that her husband cared for her as much as he did for his horse? Was she perhaps stirred by the anger that her husband would feel if anything violated his prized possessions? Did she sympathize with the beast's plight? The couple's failure to conceive weighs on them both. When John departs for his doomed campaign, his farewell to his wife is not affectionate. During his absence, Marguerite is left in charge of the state and realizes that John is negligent about his finances and mismanages his assets. Much of John's financial wounds are self-inflicted, we learn. When John returns weary and defeated, he does not embrace his wife. He is appalled by her risque décolletage and berates her for her dress.
Have you lost your dignity?
Despite feeling under the weather, he tells his wife and mother that he needs to go to Paris for a week. And now we get to the inciting incident from Marguerite's perspective. Jack barges in and professes his love. We can immediately notice differences between Jack's account and Marguerite's. Her shoes fall off as she scrambles up the stairs. Her breaths are faster and her movements more frantic. She calls out for help more than once. That playful chase around the table is truncated and no longer playful. Her objections loud, definite, and tinged with terror. There is no giggle. This is unambiguously non-consensual. When Marguerite tells John about the assault, John is not sympathetic. He's furious at his wife and takes this news as a personal attack.
Can this man do nothing but evil to me?
He then asks her to join him in bed. The court scene plays out very differently. While the first two versions focused on the two duelists, in Marguerite's version we see her visibly pregnant and being questioned. And we can understand why this questioning was not present in John's version, because it is humiliating to him. She had told others that she thought Jack was handsome. Did she provoke Jack, they ask? Did Jack impregnate her? She is 6 months pregnant, and it has been 6 months since the attack. Did she enjoy intercourse with her husband? She mustn't have, since it was believed back then that a woman needed to climax in order to conceive, and she and John failed to produce any children. If she was indeed violated and impregnated by Jack, it could have only happened because she had climaxed, and as such she could not accuse Jack of his crime, the lawyers inform her. She's then told that if her husband loses the duel, then it must mean that they were lying.
The penalty for bearing false witness is that you are to be stripped and shorn, lashed to a wooden post, and summarily burned alive. It is quite common for the accused to burn for 20 to 30 minutes before they are dead.
We will proceed with the duel.
And this is what makes the actual duel remarkable. We have no clue who will win. We do not even know whose story is credible. Who deserves to win? Is it the hapless John, beset by a series of misfortunes at every turn, having suffered a string of indignities, now finally fighting back? Or is he an impulsive, callous fool who finally sees a chance to reclaim his dignity and destroy his tormentor, using his wife as an excuse to fight? Is it Jack who was a womanizer but was seduced by John's wife? Or was he a lecherous and avaricious man who manipulated his way into high society and accumulated wealth and women, and whose luck had finally run out? And Marguerite's life is on the line too. Is she an innocent wife who wants her husband to avenge her violation? Or did she have a consensual tryst with Jack, and then perhaps out of guilt manipulate her hot-headed husband into fighting? Did she engineer all of this to finally push him to reclaim his station? Remember that she did not know what her fate would be if her husband loses the duel. She only finds that out later. All of these questions are begging to be answered by the result of the final fight, and that is what makes The Last Duel one of the best showdowns I've ever seen. The weight of the entire movie and even the nature of truth rests on this final fight. And just as John and Jack believe that their victory in the arena will exonerate them, so do we want to believe that the winner will be good. Not that the good will win, but that whoever wins will be the one that is good. Now, if you've seen the movie, you're no doubt screaming at me for omitting a very important point, which I shall now address. Each one of the 3 versions begin with a title screen. The title appears and fades away, but one title screen is not like the others. Maybe you can spot the difference. The words "the truth" linger and do not fade in Marguerite's story. The movie tells us that her truth is the truth. I think this was a grievous mistake, and those 3 seconds diminishes the movie greatly with the certainty it provides. But we still have 2 very flawed men, an abusive and apathetic husband and temperamental soldier in John, and a philandering schemer in Jack, facing off in a final fight, and it's hard to know whom to root for. Neither person has any plot armor, as the story is not an IP. Oh, and by the way, there's still the story of John's mother. This is something the movie does not address, but she and her daughter-in-law, Marguerite, clearly do not get along. It's very suspicious that she takes all the servants with her to quote-unquote run some errands, despite John explicitly saying that one servant must stay with his wife at all times when he's away. Marguerite is left completely alone on the very day that Jack comes to visit. And I can't help but wonder, did the mother orchestrate the assault and humiliate her? Did she do it hoping that her son would leave her, but then have the plan go sideways when John chooses to use the event to redeem himself? Her ask that Marguerite stay quiet falls on deaf ears. The Last Duel is an even more interesting story once you realize that this is based on a true story. Yes, this really happened, and apparently the event is very well documented, so look it up if you're interested. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like and a comment as it helps expand the reach of the video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Oh, come in. Take your pants off.